It's another bad loss over a side we struggle against as the Dons continue their slide down at the table. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I am your host, Rob, here with you on a Monday. Joining me in studio is Jesse and Damo. Hello, Jesse.
I was thinking that if we're not calling this the funeral, we should definitely reach out to Lurker and get him to write the eulogy this year.
I've already started putting mine together, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's not time yet, but we're getting close.
Little ballad,
yeah,
by our mate on the guitar, maybe whatever his name is. We haven't heard from him for a while.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we started losing, people started sending through less things. Damo, hello, how you going, mate?
What a beautiful, beautiful way to start the weekend that was. Your intro was probably one of the most doom and gloom tone intros I've ever heard. Like, considering what we were saying off air before this started, and then for you, the intro was so monotone and depressed. It speaks volumes. That was horrible.
I'm trying to set the tone for the listeners. I've gone from speaking very normally, and then I'm like, all right, action. Here we go.
Considering I'm like the glass half full one of this podcast, I'm really going to struggle tonight.
We both are usually.
Yeah. Imagine if Mert was here.
Dark we can get. Yeah.
Yeah. Mert actually did hit me up this morning. I woke up and there's a message from Mert at 5:30 a.m. He's probably on the bench press. He's like, I'm coming in. And then I'm like, I've already got Jesse and Damo, but like, if you want to come in, come in. And then 2 hours later, he's like, no, I'm not coming in.
Can we pan over to the one empty seat?
Yeah, what could be Mert right here.
Yeah.
I did actually have a thing the other day. Now that we are doing the video pods, when we do the funeral, whoever is in, it's shirt and tie, black jackets. Like we'll do the whole part. So
yeah,
that'll be good. So how are we feeling? You did say there, Damo, it's the worst way to start a weekend because my appetite to watch other football was at an all-time low. I did watch the Saturday night game just because, it's 1 versus 2 and almost a preview of the granny. But yeah, just all weekend you're like, I don't want to talk about footy. I don't want to think about footy. It just starts off in the worst way possible.
Given like our recent history as a footy club and we haven't been that successful, there was always this, because we're all nuffies that go on this podcast and talk about it, and a lot of our listeners are fellow nuffies.
Yes. There's
a real sense of excitement before we play, but then for us to like put that out on a Friday night and then live with that in our spare time when work can't distract us, and then get to see it in the replays time and time again. It's just we're not made for Friday night footy, right? Yeah,
no, we're not. It's the second weekend in a row where I've had a long chat with my girlfriend, more her talking at me about how my mood is so dictated by what happens on the field with Essendon. And she's like, what is wrong with you? You are the most miserable prick. And I'm like, you don't understand. They've bloody kicked 10 goals in a row and Bonham Pilly did this. And and she's just like...
He's going through that phase.
Yeah.
I feel like we've both been through that over the years.
No, but this is the thing. I go through this every year. I go through this every year with her, which is like, why did that happen? I'm like... Where were you? Like, do you not remember 3 years ago? Like, what's going on? Like, where's your memory at?
When are you going to bust out like, it's my job?
I do that. I literally do that.
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
You
bring your emotions home from work.
Yeah.
I hear you vent. I'm your sounding board.
Yeah. Here are my emotions.
Double-edged sword in this relationship.
Yeah. It's like, why do you have to go to the footy? I'm like, I have to go. I have to go. She's like, you're only going to come home. You either come home upset or you come home pissed. And I'm like, well... That's going to happen.
And the concoction of both.
Yeah, and then the concoction of both. I mean, I am doing dry July at the moment, so I was sober on Friday. But yeah, it's I don't know. Look, it feels like we're done. It feels like
we are done.
Season's
done.
It feels that way.
Because it is that way.
I know technically we can turn it around, but it feels like this is...
Do you really want it to be turned around though? Because I did the ladder predictor last night, lying in bed, and to make finals, we can only lose one game. We have to beat Sydney. We have to beat GWS. We have to beat North. We have to beat West Coast. And if we do that...
Collingwood.
We don't have to beat Collingwood.
We'd have to beat Collingwood.
We don't have to beat Collingwood. So I drew that as a loss.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Really?
But look,
what?
Who would have thought?
Regardless, we verse the Western Bulldogs or Geelong. So I'm pretty happy to miss out this year, to be very honest with you,
Yeah.
if that's who we come up against.
On it, like, obviously, in a long-term view and a glass half full view, playing finals is a good thing. For me personally, on an emotional level, I don't want to play finals. On a pure emotional level, I would rather just miss it and not have to deal with, that on a final
I hope
stage
we
and
break
going
this.
through that again.
I hope we break the cycle though, because I can't remember the last time we didn't make finals and get pantsed with a new coach and then bottom out the year later. So maybe it's a good hoodoo break. If we don't make the finals the first year with the coach, maybe we go up next year instead of going down after making the finals.
It's an almighty way to analyse the situation.
Well, I can only go off the facts.
You're bringing
I can only go off the facts.
whole new version of Nuffy to this now.
Well, it has been.
It's factual.
This is glass half full stuff that I didn't think I'd get from you tonight.
This is facts, Damo.
Yeah.
This is facts.
Well, we are in 1 year, out the next year. Like it's
every year.
It's the odd years we play finals, and the even years we absolutely cook it. That's basically how it's been. Like, 2015 was the last year that we didn't play finals on an odd year.
Yeah.
Maybe 2024 is the year to turn all around. But yeah, on a pure emotional level, I don't want to have to go through that on a final stage.
Yeah.
And it kind of doesn't look like we're going to, because this is the time of the year where the good teams take that step forward, start to show that, we're the real deal, we're contenders, we're finals people, and we've just slipped away.
Yeah, and I think for me, finals aside, like I only want to make finals when I think we're playing a brand and we have a list that can actually
hold up,
do something in a final. So I think being the 6th, 7th, or 8th team this year, it doesn't really interest me more than us playing a really competitive, hard game where we can stand up to finals like footy. And probably what I've seen the last 2 weeks is we're not even close to finals like blowtorch footy to withstand pressure, withstand the contested ball. You hear about all the good coaches. It's like, win the ball at the contest. Can you sort of withstand and hold up to pressure and then push off that? And it doesn't look like we can. We've beaten one side in the top 8 this year. It was Melbourne in Adelaide.
2 now. GWS are in the 8, so we've beaten 2. Yeah.
There you go. Fantastic.
We also beat them when they were 16th.
Yeah. and for like an hour or two there, and for like half a day on Sunday when Carlton and Richmond were in the 8, we'd also beaten them. But
yeah, you get my point. And
yes.
So for me, to be confronted with the finals, knowing that we haven't beaten anyone, that gives me great fear. So I'd rather just work on our brand. And I don't think any supporter this year is expecting us to play finals. It was just when that carrot got dangled a little bit by us having a relatively friendly draw that we beat sides we should have beat. And that's one thing I'll give us credit for. We've probably beaten sides we should beat, which is probably something that we're not used to. We're used to losing to 16th, 17th, or 18th at some stage throughout the year. Granted, we still have to play West Coast and
Kangaroos.
Still
happen. It could still happen.
Touch wood.
But yeah, similar to you, Rob, like emotionally, I don't want it. And I'm not there to make up numbers. I'm there to have an impact. And if our list and our brand of footy isn't there, then I don't see the point in wasting our time.
Yeah. And I think to your point about sort of being up that top level, like despite the fact that we've had some good results and have played some pretty good footy, there has been signs. Like we've still had patches of games against good teams where we've just been smacked in a quarter and lost the game, whether it was Collingwood, whether it was Geelong, whether it was Brisbane. So there were obviously warnings of this, but yeah, you're right. Like
we got our nuff on.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. They dangled the carrot. We were like, oh my God, we're fifth. What's going on? Yeah, but we're
idiots.
Yes.
We're idiots.
I lost my point.
Can we revisit where we were at 4 weeks ago? And
when you were talking about top 4.
That was last week, actually. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was the double chance carrot.
Yeah, it was. The double chance.
It's going to be a long time until you see that carrot again, Jesse.
Oh, my God. But my point being, blip or dip was the question, and I answered dip. And I think,
you're right.
Is it fair to say now
you were correct
that it is a big dip?
Yep, you were
Don's Oracle.
100% correct.
The Doracle.
The Doracle.
The Doracle.
But it is something that has been a concern for me for a while now. I don't really think that we've replicated the same football that we were playing in the first 8 or 9 rounds of the season. Yeah, there's been errors of us winning some contested football, but our contested football differential has been well down. We're now the lowest rated contested possession team in the AFL. And that's just not finals footy. You saw at the beginning of the year when we were mixing it with teams like Collingwood, we were beating them in the contested ball. And I don't know, Scott's comments about us being tired, there is an element to that where I can resonate with it, but I also hate to hear it. I feel as if all teams at this time of the year, will be tired. And part of me doesn't necessarily believe that winning a contested football is an energy thing. It's just a desire. It's a mental state. It's it doesn't matter how strong you are. It's just your ability to throw your head over the ball and have the commitment to the contest, which really leads me to my point where I think we need to have a discussion about Darcy Parish and his future.
I knew this was coming.
I knew it was coming.
Well, it's fair because he's been useless in the past month since he's come back from his calf injury. And Damo, you can probably speak to this better than I can about whether he's 100%. But the medical team and Scott are saying that he's 100%. And all I can see is that our midfield had functioned significantly better from a defensive point of view without him. And at this point in time, moving forward, he's young. If let's say we do go down the path of letting him walk to a different club, we're most likely to get a top 10 compensation pick. And this draft is absolutely stacked with key position players, which is an area that we need filling. I don't really feel like a Darcy Parish is someone at this point in time that I would say is a high priority player that we need when we have a bunch of young midfielders that are looking like they could play the exact same role as him, being Caldwell and Hobbs. Now, I'm not saying I'm 100% on the idea of it, but I just wanted to bring it up because I do think, it's a pretty relevant time to start having this discussion.
You're our scoop man, Rob. Has the club 100% put a contract to Darcy Parish?
Yeah, I believe both him and Redmond have been offered contracts.
I know Redmond had, but Parish has as well. So
my understanding is they both have been.
Yeah.
What those entail, I obviously can't tell you. But my understanding is that they've both been offered a contract. We discussed it in our message thread over the weekend, and obviously in a much more negative tone.
Dark.
Obviously in a much more negative tone. But I said to you guys, we know that Adelaide is coming hard for Mason Redmond. We know that they really want to go.
I'm scared about that one.
But I know we've all said, Parish will go to Geelong because he's from there. But is there actually anyone coming? You know what I mean? Is there actually
Geelong probably is after last weekend's effort against Brisbane. They got smashed in contested and stoppage football.
But their entire list smashed Darcy Parish.
Exactly.
Against us.
I know.
That was not a great game
really
for Darcy. That wasn't a great game for Darcy to sell himself at GMHBA.
But you know what I mean? It's not like it's a logical conclusion because that's where he's from. Yeah, that's where he's from. But I don't see there aren't things in the paper all the time where there's smoke, there's fire. We don't hear being this club's really into him, this club's really into him. I could see even a Kilda going for him, for a club who would go for him, but there's no rumors about it. And all the journalists are going, he's going to stay. And I don't think there are people actually going that hard for him because he may be demanding money that people don't think he's up to. And look, he had an amazing year the year he played All-Australian. I'd like to think that's where he can get back to as an Essendon player. But, he's had a down year. The injury slowed him and he's come back and he hasn't been very good. And, a lot of people haven't been, to be honest. So, it's a hard one. I still feel that a ready-made player who we've seen what his best can be is better than going straight to the draft for something where you don't know what you get. Are we going to get another Gumby who gets out in the park and gets injured and then we just never see him again?
Oh, definitely.
But at least I know what he gives us. But I don't know if he's even going to go. So
I'm probably not as doom and gloom as Jesse might be, but I certainly feel like a few of Parish's deficiencies as a footballer have been very clearly highlighted in the last few weeks. And it's his ability to win a contested ball and defensively work hard.
Mm.
And that's probably highlighted how important, I guess, Shield and Setterfield were, and then allow Parish and Stringer to be the offensive midfielders. And I guess, in a way, what I've come to accept is Darcy Parish is a bit of a downhill skier. He'll look good on games that we win, and then the games that we lose, there'll be more time in their forward half, and he probably won't do as much. But what he did do was pre-calf injury, I thought he was pretty serviceable when Setterfield and Shield were there. But then again, I certainly don't want to be paying massive overs to keep him.
If he's reliant on other players.
Yeah. Like I'd be more keen just like, this is what we think you're worth. This is what you like worth it out to the market. We'll pay you this. If you don't want it, you can go somewhere else. But what we're seeing is we're not seeing an all-round game from you. And unless you show it to us, we're not going to pay you that.
Yeah. And it's funny that often, in all sports, in a contract year is when players really go to another level. And his 2022 considerably better than how he's been this year. And obviously, yes, he's got injured, and that's obviously been a big factor in it. But 2021, 2022, way better than what he's done this year.
Yeah. And
it's weird because you think in a contract year is when they go, I'm going to absolutely just go to that other level, get my paycheck, and then see ya. But that hasn't happened for him. I was really disappointed because we were coming up against, obviously, Bont and Libba, who are now rated second and third in the comp for clearances. So the second and third or second and fourth, I might have made a typo on that. But they've smashed us. Darcy Parish is our clearance guy, and he's averages 8 a game, which is average third in the league, obviously missing a chunk. Just not cited. And it's not as though we weren't getting good service from the rucks. We won way more hit-outs with Flip and Brian than what English and Buku Kamas gave us.
51 to 35 in our favour for hit-outs.
Yeah, so you'd expect us at least getting first hands on the ball, but after quarter time on Friday night, that we just didn't get near it. And
then clearances were 47 to them, 26 to us.
Yeah, exactly. And he was the one that I was looking to because, we tried Perkins on Bont, didn't work. Bont smashed him, which is fair enough. He's a young kid, and he's had some good games this year, Perkins, but this wasn't one of them. Caldwell had a crack, couldn't do anything, and then it's like this is where you got to step up, Parish. This is where you got to be the guy who's going to do it. And Stringer's unfit clearly. We'll get to him in a bit. Zach Merritt's not that kind of player at the moment. There's not really anyone else we can throw in there. Like Hobbsy can have a crack, but still, it's like you're kind of the number one mid in this game, and he just wasn't there. And I think that's what really, really irritates me about this because even if we went down and he still had a crack, I would feel a bit better. But I'm like, you're meant to be a number one.
But that's the intent that is worrying, and for me is what's missing at the moment in his game. You just look at the way that he rolls around the ground and it just doesn't look like he cares. That's the way that I see it. He just rolls in and, we did need him to stand up. We needed someone to be that guy. And it just goes to show how reliant we've been in the last month on Zach Merritt. The last 6 weeks, really. I mean, he was playing near to the best football out of anyone for that stretch. And the past 2 weeks, he's been down. We've been destroyed in the middle. Absolutely carved up. Yeah. And that's my concern at the moment is that we're so reliant on Zach and we're just not getting the output that we think we should from Darcy. And, we miss Setterfield.
Yeah.
We miss Setterfield.
Teams have learned if they go to Zach, you nullify us a lot easier than if you go to Parish. Like, remember they were both in career best form, so teams would go to one of them and then swap at halftime, and it's just.
And then people realise that Parish couldn't kick, so it's probably better to go to Merritt.
Well, yeah, it's like the last few weeks we've really seen when teams go to work on Zach, we're nullified a bit.
Yeah, I'll jump ahead in the run sheet because we're kind of on contracts and this sort of stuff now. So it's round 20 next week. Redmond hasn't signed. Parish haven't signed. Apparently, Port Adelaide want BZT, but we can get to him.
No.
We'll start with Mason Redmond. Do you think Mason Redmond's playing for Essendon next year?
No, I don't.
Okay. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay. I'm saying yes as well. That's where my head's at. Do you think Darcy Parish plays for Essendon next year?
Yes.
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 Yeah, that's it. I'm also like a kid in the classroom.
I was expecting you to pull your hand up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I'm yes as well, but I don't know. It's getting to that point in the season where you start to like, someone got to soon sign a contract.
Yeah.
Redmond's dropped off significantly as well, and I don't know whether that has to do with what's happening in the background, but typically that is generally an outcome of your performance is where you're at mentally, and he hasn't been anywhere close to where he was at in the first half of the year, bashing, crashing, taking marks. Yeah, he's been great, but he hasn't been at that level. And that's where my concern comes now is that, maybe Adelaide has put something to him and he's really considering it, and it has affected his ability to sort of perform at the level that he was at the beginning of the year.
I reckon you could make that argument for about 10 players in the team.
I was literally thinking, I was like, stringers down.
They're all going.
Obviously, my best friend, Weidman, is down.
Yeah.
Draper's not playing. Zach's been down.
Other than like
Martin's been down.
But like, I mean, Merritt in the last 2 weeks, but like, other than like Ridley, and I guess you would have said Merritt prior to the Geelong game, but other than that, like, other than Ridley, everyone's down.
Just a bunch of potatoes.
So like I understand what you're saying about Redmond, and I understand the fear because we don't want him to go. But everyone's kind of been down. And since the bye, we've just looked lackluster.
That's standard Dons, though.
We've looked out of gas.
Post-bye.
We've looked tired. We just haven't looked like, the side that we saw in the first half of the year. And now, whilst he's correct, it does annoy me that like Brad Scott's now been like, well, I did say it pre-season in round 1 that we're nowhere near it. We're a long way off, and these wins they're nice, but they're not a true reflection of where we're at. And I think now we're just kind of coming back to reality of where we are. And like pre-season, our predictions, like if you remember what you guys said, like share, but I said we'd finish 12th. I think Damo said 13th or 14th. Mert said we'd finish 17th, but we'll leave Mert. Ollie said we'd finish 8th and play finals.
He's so dark. He thought it would be worse than Hawthorn and West Coast Kangaroos.
Yes. That was Mert's pre-season. But I'm pretty sure we all sort of had ourselves either, bottom of the middle 6 or top of the bottom 6. That was kind of where most of us had us pre-season. And I think we're just coming to where we actually are. And, suddenly I'm now going, Cal Tommy Phantom Draft.
Yes, I agree. I'm the same. I'm now at the point where I'm like, fuck it. Let's just finish 12th. Let's get a top 10 pick and just say sayonara to 2023.
Yeah. So, but look, end of the day, we've if this is the trajectory that the season goes on for now, and we do miss finals, and it does feel that way, we have still taken a big step from last year, because we were god awful last season.
Yeah.
Absolutely god awful.
Yeah.
There were so many games we just weren't in it at all. At least we have been in a lot of games, and we've shown that there is an improvement.
It's so hard to get a read on, because in footy you only really live in the current situation, as per, me thinking that we were going to make top 4 2 weeks ago. And now, now I'm grim, clean the slate. Let's move away from the burial ground.
Clean the slate.
Clean the slate.
Clean the whole club out.
Yeah, we need.
Latest Redmond.
Yeah, we need a new list. This is not our list. No, obviously not. But
did we do a clean out 6 months ago?
Not of the players.
Give Dodoro full control.
No, Dodoro needs to go as well.
Are we getting the bin out again? Is that where we're at?
Yeah. And Dodoro's at the very, very bottom of that bin. He's the first in there, in my opinion. Anyway, story for another day. But my point being, we are really dark at the moment, but we have played some really, really good footy this year. And who knows, we can turn it around quickly. And I think the testament to sort of where we're all at is, at the moment on current form, it would be really god-awful to make finals and play the way that we're playing. But if we can turn it up, get our contested football going again, and, beat a couple of bottom of the rung teams like Kangas and West Coast get our tails up, think we're really good again.
I'd like to beat Sydney. Like, if we don't play
If we beat GWS away, that's a good win.
Yeah, but I'd like to just win this weekend. Like, I'd like to beat Sydney. Like, I'd like to beat the
I'm worried about that one. Sydney at home scares me.
Yeah.
Sydney at Marvel.
Yeah.
Just Sydney in general. They're such pricks.
Yeah.
Luke Parker.
Yeah.
But one, I guess, slight positive out of a lot of this is where last year and the year before and with previous coaches, we've been lost with our style of play. At least we've actually got a bit more of an identity, ball movement style, and we're more talking about what we lack in terms of personnel. I know Scott talks a lot about system over personnel, but at least we can finish this year and like, a key defender, a key forward, where the super importance of Setterfield and sort of Shield, things like that from a defensive standpoint in our midfield. That for me gives me a lot more hope than I genuinely don't think the boys know what they're doing out there.
Yeah.
Like there's no style.
Which is where we were this time last year.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And for the whole of last year.
Yes.
So like that for me is slightly more positive than other years.
Exactly. And, they always say it's, never as good as you think and it's never as bad as you think. But as fans, we are very emotional creatures and we're going to ride the highs and we're going to ride the lows. And when we win, it's lids off. And when we lose, it's
gutting the club.
Yeah, it's gutting the club. Sack
Dodoro on a spike again.
Yeah, it's sack everyone.
This is 20-year anniversary of last final win, correct? It was 2003 or 2004?
2004, so it'll be next year.
Okay, next year.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
We'll win the flag next year.
Good one.
With Parish.
Yeah. Yeah. Parish Brownlow into Essendon win. That's
I'd love to
Parish
replay
Norm,
your little snippet.
Parish Norman, I'll get a tattoo of his white pill on my white ass.
Yeah.
Des Lecky, can you record that? Mark that. Clip that.
Mark that. Clip that. Let's see. What else do we have from the game? Yeah, midfield not standing up, got outworked, got smashed. I said that. Like we sort of flirted with the discussion. Like, do you think we're tiring as a team because we're a young group? Like there are some guys out there who, are still in their second, third, fourth season and they're getting battered and bruised. And we have a lot of high expectations on some pretty young guys in the team. Do you think
I don't think we're that young in terms of experience? The team that we fielded over the weekend wasn't super young.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I think we're just off the back of a 5-day break, to be honest. 5-day break off getting battered by Geelong into the Dogs is probably not an ideal way to prepare yourself to be going at 100%. But I will turn to the expert in these matters and hear more from you because I know nothing.
Well, it's more the senior blokes that look kind of tired and weathered from my point of view. Like Stringer looks cooked.
Yeah.
Parish, Redmond, like...
I'll rephrase my question. Sore. Is everyone cooked? That's what I should have said.
I reckon they are.
They look sore.
And I don't think you can really justify it. You're an elite athlete. It's your job. Like,
what's up with Stringer? Like, we're a very pro Paco pod. We defend him pretty hard when he's playing some pretty bad footy, but I mean, he looks like he needs a break.
Yeah, and I'm very pro, like, because Scott said all year, like, we're not setting blokes up for failure, and that's debuting people too soon or also playing people underdone. But then he said over the weekend, like, there's not a single AFL player out there that's not carrying something. But
contrary. He's been a little contrary recently.
Yeah, like that. I found that interesting because it's sort of like, well, I'd play someone else over Paco. Like, I love Paco, but stuff it. Just play Voss if Paco needs a rest. Like, I just see blokes. So
Voss will run and chase at least.
Yeah, the whole fatigue thing's one thing, but these blokes have been doing pre-seasons for too long. Like, you got nothing else to do during the week other than just to recover and recharge. It's not as if they're getting... Well, I think actually Brad Scott's saying like they're stuck in a hard position at the moment because they're trying to instill some structural things and playing styles at training. So they're trying to get somewhat decent loads into them at training to replicate a game, and then they're playing on the weekend. So other teams would just be going full recovery mode, review games, cruisy sesh, whereas Scott's, I think, pushing us a little bit more on the training track. We're still doing match sim a lot, all that sort of stuff. So maybe there's some merit in that we're still flogging him.
So we might blow up this back half of the season because guys are cooked, but in theory, it should be better for us in the long run.
Yeah, is it Neil Craig? He was famous in the Blight era. He was the high performance manager for Adelaide, and he said to Blight in the early in the second half of the season, so from around 12 to around 16 or 18, he said, I'm going to absolutely obliterate the players fitness-wise during the week, and then we taper for finals. So instead of other clubs just limping through the line, he just smashed them and got them super, super fit, then freshened them, and then they were the fittest team by a mile, and they did the 97-98 back-to-back. I'm not saying we're doing that, but there is some merit to
we're going to go back-to-back.
Yeah, but there is some merit to like we need to condition these blokes for their tissue to be a bit more resilient and also to cope with load. And like we do look tired, granted, so they might make some changes there, but I don't know. I think we just need to get tougher as a group, and like our standards and everything need to get a bit higher.
That's where it comes back down to, as I was saying, that just the commitment, like your willingness to want to win the ball, your willingness to want to appreciate the contest. And that's just where my concerns are generally with the list. I just don't know if we have a list with enough players that enjoy the contest. We look like, when you look around the field, there's a lot of either very classy players that like it on the outside, or there's sort of inside players that are almost outside players anyway, right? So, and then you look at our defense and sort of, I would say, look, BZT's his willingness for the contest is outstanding, but
I'd say Laverty just goes as hard as anyone.
He frosts it.
Yeah. But other than really those two,
Durham goes hard. Hobbs goes hard.
Yeah, but again, they weigh like 35 kilos, so it doesn't really equate to anything.
I will say one thing, and I will give him the excuse because he's coming off a massive layoff and injury. But Peter Wright still, I can see it in his eyes that he goes at some balls and he's like he's hesitant to take a hit because I think he's worried that shoulder's going to go on him. Like, he was going out for a marking contest against bloody Caleb Poulter, who's half his size, and rather than just sticking your arms out and taking the hit, he turns his body, gets bumped, and then they don't call a free because he's turned himself away from it. And you are one of the biggest guys in the league, let alone on the field, and I think that injury is just going to be in his head for at least the rest of the season. I think it's going to take him a full year to get over it because you can just tell that he's just not. He's never been a reckless player.
But he's a shadow of where he was at last year.
And an injury like that's going to do that too. Like, that's a pretty big shoulder injury. And you're talking about a guy whose skill set is reaching higher than anyone else. And you've literally done the one thing that stops you from reaching high, you know? So
it's an interesting one because having I've had a couple of shoulder injuries myself, probably not to the extent that he had, but generally when you're playing and
do you want to see my scar?
I'll get this on camera.
There you go.
There it is. Zoom in on that one.
Yeah.
Chicks dig scars.
Yeah. Hey, baby. How you doing?
But when you...
Dez's desk just rose up a bit.
But you'd know this as well, Damo, that when you get the all clear from the medicos and you're feeling 100%, it's not really something that plays on your mind all that much when you're out there. Now, look, that's not to say that everyone thinks the same way that I do, but you generally find that if you've got the tick, you're feeling 100%. It's probably not something that you're overly concerned about. I just think it's a bit of a form thing. You know, it's just getting acclimatized to the physical nature of the game again. It's clearly something that he's struggled with throughout his career is the contest work, the physical side of his game. And when you're lacking in confidence, as we saw with Weidman, it's not, and you know, we're even seeing with Ben King at the moment, like you struggle to hit packs hard and take contested marks if you are lacking in confidence.
And I don't think we're actually playing a style that actually suits that because there's a point where you go, oh, this play always bombs it long, but there's another point where you go, this is clearly a directive. We've clearly have a coaching directive, which is to launch it to Peter Wright. Launch it to Peter Wright, launch it to the top of the goal square, and not look for those short kicks that you see other teams do. And if this was Peter who didn't have a shoulder injury, then yeah, he's probably going to clunk a few more of those and kick a few more goals, and maybe that means that we win a couple of those close games or whatever. But I think there comes a point where maybe as a collective we need to be a little bit smarter. And I don't know whether this is a forwards coach thing or a midfields coach thing, or it's a combination of both. But somewhere there needs to be a conversation between Blake Carousella and Jan Syracuse being like, hey, maybe let's stop launching it to these, to Harris Andrews or Alir or whoever it may be. Like, since Peter's come back, I feel like we've regressed in the way that we attack. Like that Melbourne game we played, we've
lost more games than we've won with Peter being back.
Yeah, but like...
So, yeah, that errs to your point.
But, like...
Do we put him up for trade?
No. No, we don't.
Apparently, Adelaide have offered him 6 years.
Yeah, right. No, so if you look at... you look at that Melbourne game where we would, like... The game plan was, let's keep the ball away from Stephen Mate, kick it to anybody else. And it was a phenomenal game, and we executed and we won the game. Whereas we play these games now, it's just like, oh, Peter's there, go to Peter. And it could be 2-on-1, 3-on-1, whatever. And it doesn't work. And then we try and then when Peter goes to the ruck, we're like, all right, there's Andrew Phillips, like, kick it to him. And we missed him. And there goes the ball. It doesn't feel like we're looking for a better option at times. And sometimes, pressure can be a thing and you just have to get it forward. But I feel like there is clearly a coaching directive to just launch it.
Well, I don't think there was any coaching directive in an attacking sense as per what they said at the beginning of the year. They said they didn't train anything from an attacking point of view. So it does make sense that they just...
don't be silly.
Switch at all costs and kick backwards.
Coaching directive is, let's do what we've done for the past 10 years and just kick it long and hope for the best. Yeah.
I think if you're going to adopt that strategy, and there is some merit to it because Peter Wright can still bring it to ground in most instances, but you got to have like a pretty live wire, aggressive small forward pack, and especially because we dropped Menzie, so that means we're relying on Snelling and Snelling and Guelphy to be like these like very elusive and like mercurial, magical small forwards that still apply crazy pressure. We're probably just a man short, or someone like Tipper or ADJ when he develops. I'm not saying he's there yet because I don't think he is, but we're probably one small short for that style to work. And it's also showed because like we don't kick it to Paco much.
No,
not at all.
So it's fairly one dimensional. It's like Peter Wright, when in doubt, and then go to Langford.
Yeah.
Was Langford playing centre half forward over the weekend, or was it?
Yeah, sort of. Like it's that sort of thing where like it'll be. Now that Wiedemann's out of the side, but it'll sort of be like Peter, Langford, and then either it's been Wiedemann or Paco, like because sort of the four of them would sort of rotate. But essentially, it'd be Paco, it'd be Langford, and then it'd be Weed. And we just didn't look for other options too much. But the issue was that because we were getting smashed in the midfield, we were constantly having to have most of our players coming out of defence, meaning that you just didn't have many options forward.
And slow ball movement killed us over the weekend. Just that kick mark, chipping around. I'd seen us do it because we've done it most of this year, but it was really negative ball movement.
It was too much. It was far too much.
There was times where we had the ball outside our defensive arc and we would kick it to the top of our defensive square and we would lose 40, 50 meters. And that played perfectly into the Dogs' hands. I mean, I think over the past sort of 4 or 5 weeks, they've been one of the worst teams at defending transition, which is normally a strength of ours. Our transition football has been really good, but particularly in that first half, we had some really good opportunities to move the ball quickly, and we just allowed their entire defense to drop back and fill all those holes, and we just turned it over every time.
Yeah, probably a good segue into Jordan Ridley, who, is the person we go through eventually for that strategy because he is the elite kick, and now he's injured his quad and probably won't see him again this season. It's feeling that way. A high quad strain, Damo.
Yeah. Is that high on his, like a high grade quad strain?
I think high grade is what, let me just double check.
Or is the strain quite high up on his leg?
Let's have a look what it says
I
here.
think it's a high grade.
He'll be sidelined for several weeks with a high grade quad strain. So what does that mean? 6, 7, 5, 4?
Well, I think I heard 4 weeks.
Someone on Discord said 7, but I don't know what.
Oh
the
yeah,
truth
I
is
just
there.
heard a media report of like approximately 4. If it's a high grade, you're looking at your grade 2, maybe a 3. I'd say it's more likely a grade 2. And they can be a bit fiddly, especially because it's his kicking leg. So he puts a fair bit of load through that tissue when he's kicking. So for me, I've already put a line through his name for the year. And we move on because they are a bit fiddly to get right, which is a bit of a pity, but I don't know, bring the weed in.
Bring the weed in. Had a good game as well. 24 touches,
Cane
13
train.
marks.
I'm sorry, it's the cane train or nothing. I won't stand for this. It is the cane train in, nothing else.
I really
don't
wish
mind
Mert was here because on one side of the table will be the cane train and on our side of the table will be the weed.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle. I like both, but I just don't know if we're too small in our back line with no Ridley and Baldwin in there.
No, BZT's playing. It's fine.
But then who else is tall in our back line?
BZT.
Laverde.
He's not tall.
No.
He's not tall.
It's a bit. I think either will do. I'm just more inclined. I just really, really want to see Weidman just at least experiment him in the ones in a key position back and see what he's like. If he's crap, cool. We all thought he was because turns out he's no good at football, and we can throw the kitchen sink at Ben Mackay or McKay. Is it Mackay or Mackay?
It's
Mackay.
Perfect. Cheers.
Yeah.
And yeah, we move on. It's just like
hey.
when I see that Weed's probably not the answer forward. Like we've seen so many players like Liam Jones, Laverde, even Chris Tarrant. There's a lot of players. I had a good list. I've forgotten like Asava Radagalair. He's like, is he getting dropped at Geelong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I take that back. But yeah, you get my point that when you can't really make it as a forward, sometimes you can make it as a back. And he got 24 touches for the VFL, didn't he?
Yeah, 13 marks as well.
Yeah.
They look good.
We'll chat to
look
Paul.
real good.
We'll chat to Paul about it.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Do you know what I heard over the weekend?
Here we go. What did you hear?
That Jimmy Stewart's left foot has been found, replanted on his foot, and is not only likely to play this weekend in the twos, but is also very keen on going on next year and playing. He is contracted.
Big stores.
Is he contracted next year?
Yeah. And that, in my opinion, is our answer for our centre-half forward.
Well, he's training as a forward.
He was a good centre-half forward. He wasn't obviously a world beater, but in terms of him and Peter being down there, I think that's an answer to
I'm
our
honestly
problem.
I'm honestly more to surprise he's contracted for next year.
Same.
Hey, look.
Another masterstroke by Dodoro.
Hey, look. I'd love it.
Bring on the Stews.
I love Stewards.
Bring him on.
I'd love Stewards. I love it to be true.
I just think he's missed too much footy as a big bloke to come back.
But he always misses lots of footy and then just comes back and kicks 3 or 4.
That's the problem.
Every game.
That's the problem.
He was meant to be our answer for fullback.
Yeah.
And he was all right.
He wasn't bad.
He's going to be our answer for a lot of
I
things.
think he's always been like, not bad.
He'll be the ultimate swingman. He just won't leave one end of the ground.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He'll be a VFL swingman. I just want to go back on.
Just have him and Weeds stay at one end of the ground
For the VFL.
Well, we'll see.
I just want to go back. I just want to go back on something I said at the very start of the podcast. We're talking about Parish and clearances. He did actually have 9 against the Dogs, but yeah, still wanted more.
How many came off the outside of his boot?
I don't know. Probably a lot.
Can you do effective clearances?
Yeah, please. Please.
Hold on.
Also, I'd love to see
stats.
like a line graph of
Kicking efficiency
of our ranking of being like a good contested ball team to not, and just seeing us go from like reasonably good to like declining down to 18th.
He went at 70% by foot. I mean, Caldwell went by 30%. That's more of a concern. But anyway, look, I understand your point. We don't need to revisit the Parish conversation because we've had it. But I just saw that and was like, maybe I got that wrong. All right. We are playing the Swans on Saturday at Marvel Stadium. Where are you going to be sitting, Jesse?
Well, that depends. Am I finally going to get a ticket blaster chop out from you, or
I hope so.
Fantastic. Well, right next to you with a beer in my hand then.
Yeah.
In the best seats in the house.
The best seats in the house.
And I will be bringing my vape because you can vape on the second floor smokers area. So,
Oh my God.
Not in your seat.
if anyone wants
Yeah.
to join me for a great vape, I'll be there.
Yeah.
With Rob.
Yeah.
They are the best seats in the entire world is Medallion Club seats from Ticket Blaster.
They are. Got to chat to a list. Stop laughing.
You know, he just held such a straight face there. And I'm not laughing because they are the best seats in the house.
You're just giggling because if you great vape, you loser.
It was funny, like, because Mert, I took a mate of mine, and then Mert and Ryan, like, we were sitting separate, and they sat behind me, and we were like talking about it. Anyway.
We were sitting separate, but they sat behind me.
Let me finish. So like their ticket, they were meant to be sitting over there, but anyway. And then a guy sitting next to me just like looked over and went, "Oh, Ticket Blast didn't help you out, did they?" And I was like, the guy's obviously a listener. I was like, yeah, hey man, how you going? But nice to meet you. Anyway, great seats. I was in front of the box.
Did they help you out? Did you say, yeah, of course they helped me out?
Yeah, of course they helped me out. We
You
sorted it
say,
out.
hey,
Yeah.
get out of here, you schmuck.
Yeah.
Get back down to level 1, you schmuck.
Yeah, thanks for listening, but see you later, bye, schmuck.
Yeah, you clearly didn't get him. So what are you doing up here?
Yeah. I did get to stare at Dodoro for a good period from my seat.
I did see that photo.
Because we were right in front of the box. So that was good. But yeah, great seats. Medallion Club, Marvel, and MCG. A few games at Marvel coming up to round out the year. So great opportunity to upgrade your seat.
Night or day? is it
Saturday
going?
night. Saturday night.
Nice.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
What do we expect? 30,000 at that, or are we dropping off now after a few losses?
No, way more than 30,000.
Saturday night, we'll get a few there, and the Swans do have a good fan base here in Melbourne. So.
That'd be 40 plus.
40 plus.
Yeah, easy.
Whoa. Confident.
There we go. I'm not confident in how we'll play, but there'll be a crowd there.
Well, we know that the Swans hate contested football, so I'm sure we'll be fine.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Just another team that loves contested footy. It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. Boys, we'll round us off with some hot takes. If you thought things were dark, oh boy, it's going to get a whole lot darker from here. Do you know how I know it's bad? I know it's bad when Lurker doesn't send one through. This is the first time this season that I haven't got one from Lurk.
That's disappointing.
There was a couple of weeks I didn't play them. But I'm actually worried. There's part of me that's like, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
But he may have just.
If anyone knows who he is and can tell us he's alive, please let us know.
Well, Derek thinks he's like a well-known person, but anyway. All right, let's get.
I think it's Derek.
It's Derek to see the death. That could happen. All right, we've got a few hot takes here. We'll start with this one. This one's from Shano. Thank you, Shano.
Boys, I'm just coming in for advice. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm sick of following this football team. I love this football club, but I'm sick of following the teams that it produces and has produced over 20 goddamn long years. I have had a gutful. We show heart in 2 or 3 games and then it just disappears. It is bloody soft, gutless, and weak. I've lived in Geelong my whole life, and I am embarrassed to be an Essendon supporter. It is embarrassing to be a bloody Essendon supporter in this fucking town, and I've had a gutful. I don't know what to do. I don't want to watch football anymore. If I can't watch the Bombers and enjoy football, I will not watch football anymore. It is giving me mental health issues watching this football team produce shit efforts year in, year out. It's been happening for 20 years. Something's wrong in this football club. 20 years. Have a think about that. Stop making excuses for this bloody football club and just have a think about that. 20 years of average. It is pathetic. It is soft. It is weak. Something needs to change. I've had enough of blaming coaches. Something's wrong with this football club. Producing weak footballers. I don't know, boys. I don't know.
It's a long one from Shane.
Pray for Shano.
Pray for Shane. Firstly, Shane, there's a gentleman called Alex Kingham who lives in Geelong, goes for Essendon. You should find him and hang out with him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded a solution There was a whole lot of finger pointing going on there, and not a whole lot of solution.
Look, we did have a big clean out end of last season.
In fairness, we changed pretty much everything besides Dodoro.
Besides Dodoro, we changed just about everything.
But look, it is a valid point though that not a whole lot's changed in 20 years, and he has been at the helm. So
he's
if there's
the one common denominator, but I don't think it's him. But
do you know what's grim?
Something's got to change.
It's easy to point fingers, and we will.
It's grim looking at the way that Hawthorn's playing now and going, are they gonna get there again before us?
No.
Are they gonna get there
not.
again before us?
No, they're not. I've watched enough Hawthorn this year to know that they're not.
Yeah.
So sorry. Big touch wood. This one's from Sad Aaron. Thanks, Sad Aaron.
Jeez Louise, what is going on in Bomberland?
He does sound sad.
I think we can revisit a few weeks ago and agree that it is now a dip and not a blip. No pressure, no effort, lazy footy. Oh, God, it's hard being a Bombers fan. It is so hard. Not going to rag on the boys. Not going to pick out individual players, but as a whole, needs to be a huge change in dynamic and effort. At least my dog's happy. Little fucker.
Yeah, there you go, Aaron. Damo, did you know that one of your nephews who was going for Essendon now supports the Bulldogs? Are you aware of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts on this? Because I feel like there's a few people in the family who've kind of let this slip through and no one's really stepped in and changed it.
Well, yeah, my dad and his father's dad bought him like an Essendon membership.
Yeah.
And didn't go down super well with this boy's father, who's a mad Hawthorn supporter. But from my perspective, as long as he doesn't barrack for Hawthorn, I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah. He'll find his way. He's a lost little boy now.
He is a lost little boy.
I feel like I'm a lost little boy. I was watching.
Please don't compare yourself to my.
I was
nephew.
watching Gettable the other day, and the Brisbane recruiting manager was talking. I was like, I wonder what it'd be like going for Brisbane. And just was in this, when it's like thinking in an imaginary world, and I was like, oh, what am I talking about?
Yeah,
I feel like a lost boy. It's hard going for this football club. I agree. It's really hard.
It is hard knowing, like 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, obviously there were some other things going on, but 7 or 8 years ago, how bad they were, and where we were at, and now look at where they are, and we're still where we were.
Yeah,
that's what's frustrating. All right, 2 to go. This one's from Barrel Boy. Thanks, Barrel Boy.
Hey, boys. It's been 2 days since the loss. Been watching a bit of footy since then, and I can't help but look at all the other players and the teams and think, geez, they've got some big boys on their teams. I'm looking at their bodies and I'm jealous. They're bigger. They're stronger. What have we got to do to get some bigger bodies on our team? Why haven't they been recruited? I'm sick of being jealous about the body of another man. I'm looking at footy and thinking, why can't they play for us? Where's their big body? Where's our big body?
That's good.
That's good. That's up there with hot take of the year, I reckon.
And calling himself Barrel Boy.
Barrel Boy. I'm picturing a bloke who's probably like, 5'6", 100 kegs, just nugget.
Yeah.
Like a Will Snelling.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm picturing.
Speaking of Barrel Boys, what did you think of Nick Cox's return? Which is something that we haven't spoken of.
Yeah, totally. It's just totally just like missed the run sheet as well. I thought he was good. I thought he had some good moments and made some good decisions, but there was a.
What are you
I just find his game funny. I thought he was piss weak.
Yeah, he can't lay a tackle still.
But I'll finish my point. There are a few good things that he did, but there was one particular moment where it was classic Nick Cox, and I just looked at him like, is this guy, like, he just doesn't act quick enough for, I think, that position that he plays. Like, he would get a mark on the wing, and then he would just take forever to move on,
Mm.
or it would be on the ground and he'd get it, and like any other midfielder who's a regular height would just be like, bang, hands over.
Yeah.
And it's like time stops for him and he's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then he gets caught.
It does feel like that.
And that's why
Yeah.
I'm still like, there's obviously a lot of good assets about him, but I'm like, is this where he should be playing? I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And there was a few times throughout the game where I saw him like shirk it or not fully commit his body to it. And I know he's been out for a long time, but those sorts of things I think you can just still do them, like regardless. But I agree with you, Rob. I genuinely have no idea where to play him because I don't think he's big enough, strong enough, and
No one knows.
tough enough to play a key position. And therefore he's going to have to play outside. And as you said, Rob, I think he lacks speed and decision-making speed as well to make those really fast, effective decisions. And unfortunately, I don't think well, again, we're being very, very harsh, but this is probably a glass half empty pod.
Yeah.
It was a good draft to get 3 top 10 picks in. They were looking at every player in that draft and just about every single one of them has flopped so far because it was the post-COVID one where you were going off really under 16s, 17s form. I feel like that is our luck as a club, isn't it, really? Like, I mean, Perkins has been...
Perk's been pretty good.
I think he's obviously got the talent where you can see how he's potentially someone that could be in a top 10 draft and you probably could fit him into a few other top 10 drafts. But haven't seen Zach Reid really at all. Cox is a bit of an enigma at the moment. Don't really know anything about what his future looks like. I feel like we have to go back to the draft again and go hard. I mean, you look at how much a good draft can shape a football club. You know, you look at sort of the Burgoyne, Lewis, Franklin draft. Now nice. the Sheezer Wardlaw, and who else did they pick up? I forget. But, you know, these are players that are already in their first year looking as if they can really shape a football club. And, you know, that's where part of me is like, you know, if we did end up, you know, offsetting Parish or even a Redmond, you know, if they do end up walking, we are going to get top 10 compo picks. And, you know, this draft's looking really, really good. So we will see.
I do see strengths to what Cox does, and there was a couple of times where they try to get that mismatch and like the mark on the wing, and when it works off, it looks great, and it's like, wow, look at this weapon that we've got. But there were still plenty of times where he just didn't stick the mark, and then it doesn't go through.
It almost looks like he's like a little like pick up sticks, you know, like when he doesn't take the mark, he's like, oh, and just like all of his bones fall into a heap.
Yeah, it's like he's stoned.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a bit like that.
It's just he's
a giraffe.
He's just very slow, and like I don't know. I would love to ask a Geelong supporter this about what Mark Blitzhouse was like when he started, because that's what I'm hoping for. That's my hope for Nick Cox, is that he can become just this ultimate utility. He can do anything.
Yeah.
But can you build that power into him though to make him more powerful? Are you always just eternally slow if you're slow?
Yeah, I don't think you can expect to get huge change.
Well, that's good.
But he can put on size though.
He can, but he's also
strong.
Yeah, but he's also had like 2 years out and he hasn't put on size.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have put on some, but I guess it's just hard for us to see from where we sit.
Well, I think what I saw in the VFL was he was attacking contest harder than what I remembered him attacking contest. But then on Friday night, I saw a few shirky moments where I was like, you're still not that strong over the ball, or you hold back a little bit, or he decelerates at times when he should be either maintaining his speed or accelerating through the contest. Yeah. But
doesn't help when his teammates collect him like Dyson Heppel. So that doesn't help.
That was the most hard in mouth
I was like, oh my god, he snapped his leg. I was like, oh my god, we've literally just killed him. Like that was like absolute
Dyson Heppel taking out his competition.
Yeah.
I hope he plays a few more games. I'm not putting my line through it, but I don't know with Nick Cox.
I think he's got, but I think we just got to keep playing him at the moment. Like, I
Yeah.
think you just got to get games.
The
into
But
it.
hardest
he has to just be able to tackle someone to play in the AFL.
Do you put him at halfback for Ridley?
It's not the worst idea.
He
Yeah, I
he
wouldn't
trained
mind
his
that.
whole preseason at halfback. He played halfback in the VFL.
Better than a wing.
Let the ball come to him. Just give him a very friendly third or fourth tall. Probably don't mind if they do crumb it or they're a bit more mobile, but maybe let's just the ball come to him and he just like simplify the game for him and just let him use his elite skills and his ball use, which is probably something we will lack without Ridley.
Because that's what he did well. Like he set up that mark for, was it Martin or someone else who marked it in the forward line? Maybe I can't remember.
Langford or
Was it-
Martin.
Yeah, Langford, yeah.
Well, yeah,
It was a
that
good
One
kick.
of them, yeah.
Nice kick.
Exactly. And like,
but again, he still took time.
Yeah.
Like that option was open for a few seconds and he still pondered it and then hit it. But I think when in doubt, send him back to just simplify the living shit.
Gonna
out
have
of
the
game.
whole team in the back line in a minute.
Yeah. Well, my favourite was when we sent Fantasia back to the halfback flank. But you know you're out of form when you're going back. But I think that's, for me, simplifying the game for him and simplifying the game for Weidman. They're probably two options to probably experiment with.
not the worst idea. Not the worst idea.
Or you're chucking Paco back flank.
No, he's still a freak. I love him.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you can't be
Yeah.
chucking Paco.
Imagine the day he's
Paco, I don't think he'd play if you said you're playing the back line. I reckon he would take a week off.
I think he'd retire on the Tuesday when you tell him that he's playing. He's like, yeah, no.
He'd take the jumper off and walk off with that weird chest tattoo of his.
He's like, yeah, career's done.
Breakfast Club moment as well.
Forget about me. All right, let's take a break, fellas. We'll come back and we'll chat with our great friend Paul Cousins for the VFL wrap right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for the VFL wrap with our great friend Paul Cousins. Hello, Paul.
Hello, boys. Been a fun, uplifting podcast so far, has it?
What's with the tone? Did you just hit puberty? What the hell? Did you just grab your own nuts and then talk?
Yeah, no, that was my little bit of sarcasm.
I like it.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah,
It was a bit
that's
of
exactly right. Yeah, there was, see, I had my notes and there was a question mark.
Well, you've definitely lifted the energy with that, Paul. So we love that. But
That's what I'm here for, boys.
But yeah, how are you doing? It was a bit of a close one down at old Windy Willie.
Believe it or not, it was dead still too. So there was all kinds of strangeness going on at Willie.
Wow,
it was a magnificent night for footy. The deck was just about the best in the country condition-wise, and there wasn't a breath of wind. So I don't know what the hell's going on down there, but it was a magnificent night for footy. Yeah, but we lost, so it was crap.
Have you ever
I
seen?
don't really care how good the ground was.
Have you ever seen Cadinia Park in Williamstown in terms of winning at their grounds happen in a year, or would that have been the first?
No. I think that certainly would have been the first. So yeah, I was flat. Everyone was flat. It was a game we should have won. But probably shot ourselves in the foot in the first half with what was a really poor first half performance, and couldn't quite sort of. I mean, our second half performance was probably pretty improved, but left ourselves with a bit too much to do. And credit to Willie, they toughed it out and took the chocolates. So yeah, look, it was frustrating. It was after two really good performances. It's one we feel like we probably let slip.
What do you feel like let us down the most in that first half? What was most disappointing for you?
It was probably a combination of some really sort of poor ball use at times, some poor decision making, and probably a few little sort of discipline slips that hurt us, and they always do. So you need to keep control of those sort of things if you want to win games of footy. We've probably just lost our way for a little bit in that first half. But look, it wasn't disastrous or anything. We still had some good moments, but overall, certainly our second half was an improvement, which tells you our first half wasn't great. So a bit to work on. coming out of that week. Unfortunately, as I said, off the back of 2 really good wins, it was they're always incredibly hard to beat down there, Willie, and it was a huge night for them with a good mate of ours, Ben Jolly, breaking the all-time VFL games record. So they were keen to make sure they got him a win, and they did. So full credit to Willie.
Big Sam Wiedemann played in defence over the weekend, Paul. How did he go, firstly? And, what did you make of it? Do you think he maybe suited to be behind the ball?
Yeah, he looked pretty comfortable. He ended up with pretty big numbers. Probably there was a bit like in the AFL, there was probably a little bit of uncontested ball come through him in the back half, which our AFL were sort of doing a lot as well around the back half. But, I thought, considering he hasn't played behind the ball all year, I thought he was pretty impressive. He came in and played back, which was obviously a plan from the AFL coaching group, and Boulders went forward, who has been unbelievable back all year. So, it shows his flexibility to be able to go and play key forward as well. But, yeah, I thought Sam really, he really bought into the group, which is, sometimes half the battle with guys who have been struggling to come down from AFL level to VFL level. So it was a great credit to him that he really bought in and invested in the group, and went out and acquitted himself really pretty well. So look, he's a guy. I don't think it's any great secret he hasn't been in killer form in the AFL. So to come down and find that much footy and really play pretty well in what's a foreign position for him, I thought was pretty impressive.
How was Boulders in the forward line? How'd you see his game?
He didn't find much of it. He just he had some really good moments. Still kicked a beautiful goal. I reckon maybe in the second quarter from memory, but he just didn't find a whole lot of footy, which I think it's fair to say wasn't his fault. So yeah, we just didn't use it all that well going forward at times, and unfortunately weren't able to probably use him as much as we would have liked to have. So it's hard for him. He obviously he's been a key forward for most of his career, but has been absolutely set to play key back this year and done an unbelievable job. So tricky for him to then get switched forward again. But he did it with a smile and worked hard, and I'm sure if he stays there that he'll find more footy going forward. But certainly he was still a really viable target for us and worked really hard up the ground and did all the defensive stuff that you expect out of him. So, whilst he didn't get big numbers, it was, it was still a performance to his credit.
Now, Paul, Jordan Ridley's obviously gone down with a quad injury that will see him miss quite some time. Who do you think may potentially be coming up from the VFL to replace him? Obviously, Weeds played down back. Kane Baldwin's been a bit of time there. Rhett Montgomery, someone you've likened to, a Ridley sort of style player. Who do you think's putting their hand up for the role?
I wonder who Jesse suggested. I wonder if Jess went for Boulders. Jess, did you by any chance suggest Boulders?
I actually went Weeds. I will say, just because, hear me out though. Okay, the reason I went Weeds,
so off you.
I'm on the fence, but I just think from a height point of view, we're pretty small if we don't bring in someone slightly taller. As much as my man, he's our guy, so it's hard for me to say that. But I'm probably leaning more towards Weed. But this is not about me; it's about you. So, what are your thoughts?
It's a good question. Obviously, by putting Weeds behind the ball this week, they didn't do it for the hell of it. They did it because they wanted to get a look at him down there and, and see how he went. And you'd have to say he went pretty well. So if they wanted the slightly taller key back, then he'd be the one I suspect they'd go for. I think Kane Baldwin's body of work, I've been pretty clear that his body of work this year has been fantastic. I reckon he's probably been the best key back in the VFL comp, that I've seen. So, he couldn't have done much more to put his hand up, but it really might come down to a matchup sort of thing. And Rhett, as you mentioned, he's a little bit in that sort of Geordie Ridley kind of third intercept marking mould, and it just might purely come down to how they think they match up with the Swans, who sort of goes to Buddy, who goes to Amati, or it really might just come down to, all right, what do we need in the guy coming in for the matchup that he's likely to get, and if that's a really big body, then it might be Weeds, or a really tall sort of unit, it might be Weeds. If they're looking for maybe a little bit more sort of to be a bit more aggressive with ball use and that sort of thing, they might look at Boulders, or as you said, Rhett's a really good option if they want that interceptor. So I don't think it'll be, based necessarily on, well, he's gone better than him, or he's got. I think all three are really viable options, and it might just come down to matchups as to who they think sort of suits best, given the makeup of the rest of the back line as well. So I dodged that question pretty well, but look, I've been, I think, pretty clear on the fact that I think Boulders has been incredible, and I hope without having any clue which way they go, I hope he gets the opportunity just because he's been fantastic all year. But I completely understand that they've really got to go for the horses for courses approach and put in who fits best. So I don't envy him.
Yeah. I think probably what Baldwin showed us this year is what you get. You get someone that's pretty tough and resilient and sort of fairly strong in the contest. What was you said Weedman had a lot of uncontested ball. They went through him a lot as an outlet. And my question would be, how was he in the one-on-one and in a matchup and a defensive point of view, sort of to nullify a contest with the Willie forwards?
He actually had some really good aggressive spoils and was able to sort of halve or win several contests throughout the day. So when I say he got some uncontested footy, I don't mean that as a negative. That was just an add-on to his game. I thought.
Oh no, when someone has 13 marks and if they're intercept or contested marks, or sometimes you're just like the outlet a fair few times. So I think it's a valid point you made.
Yeah, and there was certainly some of that, but he's. I thought he had some really good one-on-one spoils. That was the part, I'll be honest, I was most interested in as well, for a guy who sort of hasn't played back all year and has played predominantly as a key forward throughout his career. I know he's had some time back at Melbourne, but the vast majority of the time's been spent forward. So I was really interested in that as well. And I thought he had some really nice defensive moments with some good aggressive spoils and was able to, at times, leave his man and come up and make a spoil, on the contest in front of him and those sort of things, which it wouldn't necessarily be the most natural thing for a key forward to do. So he's obviously got some real understanding of the position, and I thought his defensive work was pretty good overall.
That was a really good answer compared to your last answer.
I've been confident since I rang you. I don't know why I do this.
It's that kind of night, Paul. It's that kind of night.
Everyone's confident.
There is a player in the VFL that has put together quite a body of work over the past month, and I wouldn't mind you just, I guess, telling. I watched some of the game and he looked great, and is sort of proving to become even more mercurial than we probably first thought. But can you tell us a bit more about Anthony Moncara's game and how you saw that?
Yeah, he had kicked one of those freaky sort of off the ground goals from about 25 metres out too. It wasn't like he was in the goal square, but it was funny. He just actually got the bench and just screamed at him to go back to the square, and sort of get one out, because they thought, obviously came from the coaches, but they thought, given his sort of, you don't want to be locked one-on-one with him in the goal square on your own, that's for sure, because he can do some unbelievable freaky things. And about 10 seconds later, the footy gets down there and he sort of just casually slots one off the deck from about 20 metres out. So, his continued development is really exciting. Like he continues to do those mercurial things each game where I was talking to someone about it after last week's game where it was like, well, he might only have 6 or 8 touches, but sort of every single one of them ends up on the highlight package. His impact despite the fact that and his possession rate, and that has certainly increased while he's developed, but despite the fact that he still doesn't get a whole lot of possessions, most of them are pretty memorable. And that sort of continues to be the case. But I think the biggest improvement from him has come from his defensive work, which has been really first rate. He's now sort of laying a heap of rundown tackles and putting guys under real pressure where they're starting to wonder where he is when they've got the ball in the back half. And he's exciting and just continues to show layers of development each week, which get everyone sort of more and more excited every time they watch him play.
Love to hear that. Essendon VFL play Sydney 1:05 p.m. on Sunday at Windy Hill. Nice to not be going up against the AFL at the same time. So hopefully we see a good contingent of Bombers fans there on Sunday, Paul.
It's actually a really great time slot, I reckon, like sort of early Sunday, so it doesn't take you a whole day. But, get out to Windy Hill. Hopefully we get a nice day and can pull in a big crowd and give the Swannies a bit of what for on our home deck. Would be lovely to see.
Beautiful. Paul, great as always. We'll touch base with you again next Monday for the VFL wrap.
No worries. Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks, Paul.
You're a star.
There we go, boys. Paul, great as always. We've been a bit tough with him, Damo.
Yeah, very, very good with his time, very generous with his time. And as I said to him off air, I apologise for taking it out on him. It's not him. It's the club. But no,
was that off air or was that on air? Were we rolling?
Him saying
the apology was that
the
off air?
The apology was off air.
Yeah,
that
means nothing then, mate.
It's on air now, and I'm apologising to Paul. Paul, I'm sorry.
That's better.
There we go.
Great man, Paul. Very generous.
Yeah, good. That's great super insight as always. What's on for the week, boys? Jess, what are you up to?
Jeez, I don't know. Misso's back from Europe. She actually got back on Friday night, so
so it got worse after the game.
She got home and I'm like, big game of footy on tonight. She's like, oh, he's playing. I'm like, it's pretty much finals or bust, really. And it got to halftime. I was like, yeah, let's watch something else.
Yeah.
And I'll watch the replay later. So not sure, really. Just going to take it easy. Weather's pretty grim, so I'll probably just sit next to my gas heater at home and ponder life for the next 6 days of the week.
Nice.
What do you got on, Rob?
It's a great question. What have I got on? Working pretty hard.
That's a change.
Pod Thursday. I mean, I usually don't work very hard. Pod Thursday. I've got a 6-year-old's birthday party in the weekend. It's gonna be pretty wild.
Oh, take it easy.
And my dad's turning 70 next weekend, so I'm going to a 70th birthday party.
Wow.
From
one end to the other.
Going from 6 into 70
Whoa.
back to back. So
that's hard to back those two up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're even honouring both.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I'd be calling sick into work on Monday after that.
And are you Marvel bound on Saturday night?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if I want to go, to be honest. I hate losing to Sydney, man. God, we've had so many games against them where they've just rolled us.
Yeah, remember the G last year, though? That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was great.
I feel like we've gotten 3 of probably our biggest bogey matchups in a row. I would say Sydney, Dogs and Geelong. We've beaten Sydney more than the Dogs and Geelong, but I feel like they're a bogey matchup for us as well. They've always just been a shit team to verse.
Now that we've got the Richmond hoodoo off the back, then, that's kind of the...
We'll let them have their hoodoo against us. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Well, look, so we've won 2 of the last 5 against the Swans, so it's not that bad.
It's more...
It's grim reading, and that's how we look at it.
SCG is... That's our graveyard.
Yeah, SCG is graveyard.
Yeah.
Really, most interstate grounds are graveyard for us.
But I'll say it, and I've said it many times, but the SCG is single-handedly the worst ground to watch on TV.
Oh yeah,
It's shocking.
Worse than Cardinia?
It's actually worse to. I went to Sydney.
I've been there. I've been there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I went to Sydney Carlton this year, and they all just talk to each other. The crowd, it's ridiculous, and they it's like
uneducated football
no, but it's
watchers.
like I shit you not. When the boundary umpire like throws it in, they like cheer him as if it's like the most fascinating thing they've ever seen in their lives. None of them know the rules.
It's a strange place, but yeah, sucks about on TV. Luckily, we're not going there this year. So, anyway, thanks listeners for listening. If you want to listen to Thursday's show, you can sign up to become a premium supporter of the podcast. $5 a month, you get access to an extra show every week during season and some additional stuff in the off season as well. If you want to buy a cap or a beanie, as Damo's sporting right now, you can jump on the website and get them. There's also t-shirts and things like what I've got on there as well. Also to help support the program.
Please do.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone who supports the show. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse than this.
Yeah, that's like that is the darkest intro and
Outro. Is that where you're trying to go?
Oh, I was just gonna say finish. But Rob's a defeated man.
I'm really tired. I don't know. I
Flutter's attack.
Yeah, but I think partly because
Jeez, if you're tired now, I couldn't imagine you after the 6-year-old's birthday. God, that's going to be an interesting Monday pod.
And then gearing yourself up for a 70th.
Oh, we better not lose those. Lucky we've probably got North and West Coast those weeks.
Honestly, I think I had a big gym session this morning, and then I've just eaten nonstop all day, and I think I've kind of put myself into a food coma. I got here, and I'm like, I just want to go to bed.
Protein.
So anyway.
Well done, Rob. You did really well. You did really well. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I'm bulking for summer, guys. Bulking for stereo.
Smart.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Bye.
See you later.